Okay, vision. Yeah.
Okay, so I return. So, as part of your duties, you wrote the major disaster plan for mass deaths in South London. How do you approach such a task?
Facilities. That's the most important thing. You get a sudden mass of bodies. What do you do with them? This is the trouble they had in New York with 9/11. So I had to go around South London. I looked at schools to see what facilities they had, gymnasiums, preferably schools with swimming pools, because swimming pools we could empty and we could use them. Now, the emergency planning officer has suggested that we got freezer fans where they store food. No. What company are going to take a van back after having 20 bodies in it? You know? Impossible. So we had to think better than that. So I looked at gymnasiums, I looked at swimming pools, and then we have the two problems we have. First of all, it's got to be privacy. Nobody, no member of the public must be able to see inside. And secondly, security. They've got to be very secure. But thirdly, and most important, they've got to be kept cool.
Yeah.
So all these things got to be taken into fact. I ended up by designing 8 marquees. At the back of the mortuary at Southwark, we had a very large park. It was Charles Dickens Park. And there was a prison wall there, which was the wall where Little Dorrit, the story was about the prison there.
Okay.
And the debtors' prison. And that prison wall was part of our mortuary.
Oh, wow.
But the park was also the Dickens Park. So what we were going to do was put 8 marquees there, and by that I could accommodate up to 2,000 bodies.
Crikey.
And then you've got to think about, it's going to happen suddenly. You know, mass disaster, you don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So therefore I had to have a storeroom with a cupboard full of labels marked 1 through to 1,000 or whatever. So the body would be given a number, not a name, obviously.
Yeah.
So as soon as you got the body, and any limbs with that body, any parts, had to be numbered with the same number, 1.
Yeah.
And at the scene, you put a stake of wood in the ground next to the body with that number, so you know the position they are in the ground as well.
Okay.
So all this had to be taken into consideration. Then, of course, we get down to staffing, because in those days, we used to just rely upon our friends in the other mortuaries in London. There were 34 mortuaries in London, in the public mortuaries, so we would use all those people as a part of the team. Today, it's totally different. Today, there are mortuary staff throughout the whole country who carry bleepers.
Okay.
And in a major disaster, that bleeper goes off, they immediately respond. And when we had the July bombings here in London, their bleepers went up for the first time. Wow. And we had people coming from Liverpool and Glasgow, just jumped on trains and came straight down to help.
Is that voluntary or mandatory with you?
Oh, they get paid. It's voluntary, but they get paid. They get paid very good money. I mean, I was on the air crash team, repatriation team for plane crash. And we used to get, and I'm going back 30 years. We used to get £500 in those days.
Okay.
That was for a week, £500.
Yeah.
But today, they're getting £3,000–4,000 a week.
Okay.
Now, embalmers, who embalm the bodies, they work privately, and they get £300 or £400 in embalming, and they can do 3 a day. So imagine how much money they're on. You know, there's a lot of money in death, a lot of money. Legally.
Legally, yeah. So in 1985, you flew to Ireland as reception officer on the Air India bomb outrage. Over a 2-week period, you carried out the initial examination of 181 victims, many of whom were children. How do you cope with mass murder? It
was difficult. It was the first mass murder I dealt with. I got the phone call on the Sunday afternoon, and 2 hours later I was flying to Dublin, and to Cork, and as we approached Cork Aerodrome, there was all these helicopters bringing the bodies in.
Wow.
And what had happened was, in the early hours of the morning, the plane had vanished off radar over the Irish Sea. It was a plane that was travelling from Canada to India via England.
Yeah.
And when it got over the Irish coast, it just vanished. They recovered only a few of the bodies, mainly first-class passengers. And they took them to the local hospital in Cork, and they took over the patient's little hut at the back, which was an entertainment hut where they used to have entertainment, and that became our mortuary. And the bodies arrived in green canvas bags, which were army body bags. And as they arrived, I would be working with two members of the Garda Síochána, the Irish police, and we would unzip the bag. I would then examine the body in situ, record any jewellery or any scars, any marks on the body, and then it would go from me, it would travel then to a pathologist who would carry out the post-mortem. From there it would travel on to the embalmers who would embalm the body, and then on to the funeral directors who would lay it out in the marquees, ready for identification officially.
Wow.
And that's how it was done. And then something happened. We were just dealing with a plane crash, unexplained, and the plane had just fallen out of the sky. During the embalming, one of the embalmers, he used to inject into the leg a fluid, and they would pump it with an abdomen, and it would go around the blood circuit, this fluid, to embalm it. And they used to do that on the leg to push the fluid up. And as he did that, he felt something, he didn't know what it was. We cut into it with a scalpel, and there, little bits of metal, it was shrapnel. All the bodies had to be reopened, all the legs, and we discovered it was a bomb.
Wow.
And the next day we had the Royal Canadian Mounted Police arrived. We had police from Delhi came over. We had MI6 arrived. And started to piece it all together. We were there for 2 weeks, and of all the bodies, we identified them all except one.
Wow.
Which was quite remarkable. And we had quite a paradoxical situation, ironic really. While we were working, we were getting photographs coming in from Canada and India, from the next of kin of the bodies, so we could match them up. And when I was on reception, I brought one little boy in, he was about down to 10 years of age, and he had a white t-shirt on with a crocodile, with the head going that way with the teeth, in colour, not something you forget.
No.
And a few days later, I was in the coordinating office, and on the wall was a photograph of a boy with an alligator's head.
Wow.
But the head was going that way and not that way. I said, that is the boy. Nobody believed me. But then we discovered, of course, photographically, on the negative, we reverse it.
Okay.
And that's what had happened.
Yeah.
So I was right, it was the boy. And the other situation that arrived was I had a chap came through reception who was completely naked, very smart looking, body was perfect, black moustache, hair, absolutely immaculate, and he had a black pair of socks on. He's the pilot. Everybody laughed. I said, nonsense. How can he be a pilot? I said, he's a pilot. He looks like it. Black socks on, and the body, and his face immaculate, the black moustache. So I'm going to take bets he's the pilot. And he was the pilot.
Why did he have no clothes
a lot of them didn't have any clothes. Most of them didn't have any clothes on, because when they recovered the bodies from the sea, they put it onto the boats and stupidly took the clothes off and put them in the bags.
Why?
To preserve the clothes.
Oh, I see.
What they should have done is left the clothes on.
Yeah.
That would have been a great
Nice
help
view.
to us.
Yeah.
But they left all the jewellery on, and a lot of the Asian people, the ladies, all had lots
Yeah.
of gold rings on and gold bracelets, because they
Yeah.
travelled their wealth with them on their
Sure.
arms. So we had all these dozens of gold bracelets. Lucky George wasn't there.
He would have had a field day, wouldn't he? Okay.
But
So,
it was, but it was a very professional team. I
Yeah.
worked with very professional.
yeah, I think I remember from the book when the part where all the children were laid out in white and the nuns were there.
Oh, that was terrible. You see, you detach yourself. You can't sit down and cry. You've got to get on and do the job.
Sure.
And we had dozens of young children under the age of 10.
Mm.
It's a nightmare. And we laid them out, or the funeral directors laid them out in the marquee, the white sheet up to their chests, and a little red rose on each of the chests. And they were laid out both sides of the tent going down in rows, with bunches of flowers here and there, immaculately done by the nuns. One morning we went into the tent, and during the night, the nuns had placed a 6-foot teddy bear at the top of the tent. Lovely gesture, but it hit all of us.
Yeah.
And suddenly there were children, not cases, there were suddenly
Yeah.
children. It was heartbreaking, because we were all fathers, and it was the worst thing they could have done for the team.
Yeah. Yeah, sad. That's been awful. Don't know how I'd cope. So, for 11 years, you worked alongside Scotland Yard's Murder Squad, was National Secretary to the Guild of Mortuary Administration and Technology, lectured at both St Mary's and Guy's Hospital, and contributed articles to the Nursing Times. Why did you suddenly resign?
I resigned because of futility. What happened was, towards the end of the 11 years at Southwark, all sorts of things went wrong. I had 2 people went off with tuberculosis, not connected with the mortuary,
No.
but they contracted it, but it caused panic in the mortuary. The masters, the top directors, were not happy. They spent hundreds of thousands of pounds on the mortuary, maintaining it and getting it to scratch, and none of it worked.
Yeah.
It was a pathogenic nightmare, and they put the wrong type of switches in for electricity. Everything was done wrong.
Yeah.
They had fridge doors that opened only halfway because the wall was in the way. It was just ludicrous. And I'd had enough. And in the end, they sent for me, and they wanted to speak to me because one of my girls, who'd just been my deputy, had just been arrested because she too was a thief. And they'd had enough. There was no thank you because I caught 2 thieves.
Yeah.
And they wanted to suspend me for bad management. And I said no.
After what you'd walked into.
You'd have had no thanks from you. It took you 5 years and you couldn't get rid of the deputy George. It took me 5 months.
Yeah.
I said at the end of the day, there's no thanks. I said, I'm professional, my reputation's at stake. I said, you can stick it, as I'm going public. And I'm going to write a book. And I walked out, and the newspapers had a field day.
When did the book come out?
4 years ago now.
So, what was the time difference between
Oh, it's a long time, because the first book I wrote, I put aside, and I went back to the theatre. And I was appointed as chairman of the, artistic director of the British National Theatre Schools. And I put all my efforts then into the theatre. And then I was appointed as director for a new musical in Nottingham with Sam Fox and Nick Jack Wilde to direct. So I went back on circuit as a director, and I was rather enjoying it. So it all got pushed aside. But then, again, theatre work started to dry up. There was too many directors and actors coming out, and I didn't want to do television. And so I went back to the book, and that's why it was published 4 years ago. But it took 3 years to write.
Did you find it easy to find a publisher?
No, not really. Death was not the thing in those days. One of them actually said to me, I'll be your agent, but I want it to be comedy. He said, people want comedy on television about death. I said, well, this is not comical, we're not doing it. But I had an agent, you see. I had a very good literary agent, because for years I've been writing for Fleet Street for the newspapers. And Robert Smith was my agent. He was brilliant. And he handled all my newspaper and magazine stuff. Very professional. But he couldn't get people interested in corrupt bodies. But then I got invited to go to my current agent, who's the #1 agent in the world. And he took it on, and he brought a chap called Chris Hollington in to assist me. Now, Chris Hollington wrote 4 of the chapters in the book.
Okay.
But I wrote the book. It's my book. I wrote it. And he corrected various things, but added 4 chapters of his own.
So what was his profession then?
He was a writer.
Okay.
He was a ghost, basically.
Okay.
But in my case, it wasn't really a ghost, because he was supposed to have just done the 4 chapters.
Yeah.
And he was going to be thanked in acknowledgements.
Why did he need to do the 4 chapters?
He didn't, but they wanted to get more pages in the book.
Oh, I see.
And I was stuck with details.
Yeah.
So therefore, they brought Chris in.
Okay.
He's a good writer, but he didn't write corrupt bodies.
No. Well, I have to say, it's gripping, and it took me 2 evenings to read it. I probably would have done it all in one night if I hadn't been so tired. But it's a very gripping novel. Not a novel, sorry. They have now learned the difference between a novel and a book. It's a very gripping book, and what we're doing is, so that if anybody wants to go out and buy this from Amazon or eBay or any other retailer,